Kim the Physio. Just going to go over a few ways you can be your own physiotherapist at home and some of the tools that you can use and how to use them. So I have a couple of options. I've gone through my house and my kids' toys. I have a couple of things that are actual physio pieces of equipment, and then I have things that if you don't have them, things that you can use instead. So I have my foam roller. This is a pretty hard foam roller, so there's lots of different intensities of them. If you haven't done it before, it's nice to start with one that's not quite so hard. This one's got a nice plastic core, so it does give a little bit more intense pressure, but there's lots of different kinds that you can get that aren't quite so intense if you're sort of new to foam rolling. And this is called a myofascial ball, so this is similar idea where you can actually roll on it, but it's got more give in it. So again, it would be something nice to start with if you are new to rolling, because it can be quite an intense thing to start with. The other options you have are a handheld roller. These work really nicely, especially for legs, and I'll go over that. So again, these are the things that, they're kind of physio specific. You can buy lots of them different places, drugstores, Walmart, that sort of stuff, and then you can get them online as well too. If you don't have them, you can go searching around your house. So these are kind of the things that I found. So instead of a handheld roller, rolling pin works just the same. And then any type of little ball. This is a little golf ball. It's actually not even a real one. This is from my son's pretend golf set. If you have a dog, little dog ball, something like that, hard rubber. This is my daughter's favorite thing to chew on right now. Just a little rubber ball. It's got a little bit more pokey edges. And this is a random block from one of his cars that actually will work really nicely for shins. So these are tons of different things you can find in your house to kind of get the same goal. So the main goal with rolling is you're trying to increase blood flow. So you're trying to increase blood flow to the muscles that feel really tight. Getting new blood flow in there helps bring the molecule that helps actually relax the muscle. So it's blood flow. It doesn't matter what tool you use, and it really should be to tolerance. So anything, if you sort of rate it on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being no pain, 10 being the worst pain you've ever had, you don't really want to go above a 6. Anything above a 6 creates a little bit of a nervous system reaction. And if you've ever had a deep tissue massage where you feel like you're holding your breath and you're just gripping on, waiting for it to kind of be over, it's not really any more effective than staying around a 6, something that you can breathe nicely through, because really you're just trying to convince your brain to relax the muscle as well too. So anything higher than that, unless you really like the deep tissue pressure, isn't any more effective. So pick the right tool. You may need to play around with different tools depending on what area of your body that you're working on. So that's why we have some things that are bigger that work bigger for legs, some things that are smaller, bigger, are better for feet. So if we go over a few of the key areas, so if you only have a few minutes, you can either pick something that's sore. If you have a specific injury, focus on that. If you have even 5 minutes, whether or not it's all at one time during the day, we all know that that's sometimes impossible. You can just break it up throughout the day. So if you can, legs are always great. If you start with your feet up to your shins, fronts of the legs, backs of the legs, and then I'll show you a couple of ways you can do your shoulders and then into your neck as well too. So with your roller, if you want to use that, shins are really nice actually if you have the mobility, even just to kneel and roll right actually on the roller. So you can kneel right on it, you can do both at the same time, or you can actually just go back and forth with one. So you're just again kind of getting into about a 6 out of a 10 for pressure. Going back and forth on the muscle, so you're not right on the shin bone. In this one, the shin bone's right along the front. So you're actually just to the side, and that's where the muscle belly sits. And this is the one that we use to actually lift up the foot. So it's used a lot during the day. Anytime you're walking, anytime you're using your gas pedal, it's a really good, nice one to get on. And again, total time depends on how much time you have. If you have a couple of minutes to do each section, great. If you have 30 seconds to do each section, it's better than no seconds on it. So for your calf, you just flip around the other way. And you can use one leg to lever yourself up, pushing up with your arms, and then getting a little bit of your body weight behind through your calf. So you can start with the outside of your calf. You're just rolling your foot towards the outside or the center of your calf, and then coming into the inside part of your calf. It's quite a large muscle, so it's good to work it in sections. So inside and then back to the middle, and then the outside can be quite a bit more tender when you actually get onto that. And again, 30 seconds, a minute, couple of minutes, whatever you have is better than not doing it at all. So that's option number one with your foam roller for your legs. You can use your myofascial ball, a small soccer ball or something, again, that would work. Similar idea, you can, for your shins, do the same thing, get it right underneath and you're doing your rolling this way. You can do the same thing with your calves, this way where you're just supporting yourself on there. You can move right up into the back part of your leg. And then actually right up into the glutes. So you're having that come right at the side. And again, depending on your tolerance for pressure, you can have more or less pressure with your arms. You can also support yourself more with your foot. And then you're just rolling. And I find this one easiest to actually start to turn your whole body and find those spots that are a little bit tender, sort of that 6 out of a 10, and just working through them. And every time you're going back and forth over them, you're encouraging more and more blood flow into the area. And that's part of what helps your muscle relax. And then it's also the control and the input from your brain down to that muscle that is helping settle the actual tension of the muscle. So that's option number 2. The one I really like for lower body, especially for the shins, is something handheld. You can sit, and again, depending on your mobility, if you can sit on the floor, great. If not, you can sit on a chair and you can do the same thing and reach down. And you're actually just coming down and rolling, just like you would if you were rolling out some dough. This is nice again because if it is quite tender, you can start with less pressure than when you're actually kneeling on your roller. And then you can progressively work more into the tissues as you can tolerate it better. Same thing behind, you just pull it behind, and then you're actually working into side, middle, and then inside, in through the calf. You can get this one right up into hamstring, behind your leg as well, and then even right up into the quad. And that's a really nice way to monitor the pressure. So again, if you don't have something like this, rolling pin, most people have that. It's the exact same idea. Just working through. It's nice to have a little bit of leverage with the handles as well too. So obviously these are nice for lower body, for the parts that you can reach. A little bit tougher for things like glutes. A little bit tougher for things up here, that sort of stuff, unless you have someone else who can help you. You can do it a little bit one-handed. Actually doesn't feel too bad. But if you do have someone else that can help you, they can come and stand behind you and do a little bit of the rolling through your neck and through your back. A little bit tough on feet as well, especially if your feet aren't super huge. They just don't seem to really get in there great. So that's where I like to move to something that's a little bit smaller. So again, depending on tolerance, you may want to start with something a little more squishy, a little bit of give, something that fits your foot nicely. So with your foot, you can either stand if your balance is okay. If not, you can have something you can hang on to. And again, you're just working about 6 out of a 10. If they're very, very tender, don't put so much pressure. If they feel pretty good, and over the couple of say minutes, if you're doing it, you'll feel a little bit better. So you may start to be able to actually put a little bit more pressure through your ball. I like to focus on parts of the foot again. So inside part of the arch. You have the ball and you're just rolling it back and forth right from the heel all the way to the toe. Inside along your arch, and then move it out to the outside part of your arch. forth that way. Another nice one for the foot is if you take your ball, have your heel underneath, and then you're actually just rocking your foot back and forth. Rocking it and then moving your ball up a little bit. Now it's right under the middle of my arch, and then just rocking the foot back and forth. Feet are really meant to fan out and come up. So pronation, supination, heard probably those terms. Flat feet, that's more of pronation. It's not a bad thing. Feet are meant to flatten out every time you take a step. That's how we absorb shock. So they have to do fanning out, they have to do folding up. So you're trying to think of it as you're doing your foot. A lot of us are actually kind of stuck in a folded up position. You're actually just trying to think of your foot relaxing into a nice big fanned out position. Your foot should actually feel a little bit more in contact with the ground after you've actually gone through and done back and forth, forward, backwards, back and forth all along the whole length of the foot. And then I would switch to the other side and do that side. Smaller ball, something a little bit more this kind of shape, same idea, back and forth. And if I could rock in over top of it, otherwise I would just turn it and put it in the other direction and then do my rocking back and forth that way. So don't need to have anything super duper fancy. You can get a lot of this stuff done just with what you have around the house. For upper body, the most ideal would be to hit your sort of shoulders, which are your lats, big muscles that come down and through the back. So you can do it in a couple ways. If you have a roller, you can actually just take your roller and then just reach out. So you're not actually necessarily rolling on them, especially if they are quite tender. Just a nice way to kind of open up, just a different way to use your roller. Kind of reaching forward. You can do it with your small ball too. If you have a small ball, if you have a big physio ball, you can do one of those. Reaching out. That's a nice way to really kind of get things a little bit more mobile before you go and roll right on them. And then if you still need to release some of the muscles around the shoulders, you can actually roll onto those lats. So again, depending on your mobility, if your shoulder mobility is okay, you can have this out on the side, reaching and just rolling right onto your ball. So you tuck it back here and then just rolling through between your side and your armpit. Lots of nice places on there that you'll feel. You can use a roller. Again, mine's pretty hard, so this one might not feel super duper good for most people. But you can just do little bits at a time. Just between your armpit and your side. Smaller ball works great for the smaller muscles of the shoulder. So right around the shoulder blade is where your rotator cuff sits. So two of the muscles are right on the back that you can reach quite nicely with a smaller ball. A couple of positions you can use. Laying down works really well. You just have to find the position of those spots. Tuck it right underneath your shoulder blade. And you can either do body movements, shoulder blade movements. You can also take your arms and move your arms over top of that ball. So you're essentially rolling back and forth over top of the ball. The ball's pretty stationary, or you can actually move your shoulder to move the ball and find those little spots in through there. Lower part of the neck, same thing. You can move your ball up just to those lower parts of your neck. Moving your arm around, shoulder blade around, or coming and moving arms to move it over top of the ball. And finding those little areas or little ranges that you want to work through, depending on what you feel. If you have two of these similar sized, they work great for your neck. Lots of people get lots of tension right at the base of their neck, and you can tuck them right up underneath. Staying just to the side of your spine, so if you had two, it's ideal because then you can lay down and they're pretty even. Tucking just underneath the base of my skull. And you can do a little bit of pressure and hold. And then you can also start to do some chin nods. So you can just nod your chin very slightly down. And as I do that, A little bit more pressure goes into those spots. And again, I'm just to the side of my spine, not right on the center. If they are rolling away on you, if you're on a hardwood floor or something, tuck them into a sock, 2 of them together into a sock, and that sits really nicely up underneath your neck. Your wall in standing, you can use it similar, tucking into a sock first, then you can hold it up against the wall, and you're not chasing the ball all over and chasing it down if it falls, so you can hold onto the sock and control it quite nicely. So that's a bit of an overview. So where are we at now? 15 minutes to go through the body. So yeah, you break that up to 3 times, 5 minutes at a time throughout your day. It's a really nice way to take some breaks if you're working from home. If you have kiddos around, most of my toys I pushed behind the camera, but typically there's toys all over the place down here. 15 minutes in a row isn't always realistic, but break it up during the day. And like I said, any time is better than no time. And you just do what you can and find out with what tools that you can use at home, but lots of options.